watching Phuket News TV. Welcome to Legal Matters. My name's Tim Shaw. I'm the Thailand correspondent for the Seven Network Australia. It's always fascinated me about the legal systems in different countries, and particularly in Thailand. What are those parts of the law that we need to know more about? We thought we'd ask Gerald Kippen. Gerald's from dktaxandlaw.com and he joins us now. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
The topic, real estate, and I want to specifically talk about real estate leases. What is a real estate lease?
I guess the simplest way to put that, Tim, is a real estate lease is renting, and that's a simple but an important point. Often in our practice, we encounter clients or colleagues in the real estate industry who refer to a real estate lease as a form of ownership, but it is not. It is like renting an apartment, basically.
Who should lease in Thailand?
Well, I guess I would put that as more of a question or an answer of who has to. For foreigners, for instance, ownership of a movable property, options for ownership of a movable property are quite limited. Also, even if there is an allowance, whether it's a Thai party or a foreign party, for that person to legally own the given piece of real estate that we're talking about, the owner may not want to sell it. They may want to keep it in their family, even if they're going to give it up past the time when they won't be with us anymore. Maybe they want to keep it in their family. So it may only be on offer on a leasehold basis. And then thirdly, there are some types of property that simply can't be transferred. They have to be leased. And an apartment, the example that I gave initially, would be a good example, as opposed to a condominium, which can be transferred, its ownership. An apartment cannot.
I've always been intrigued about this idea of who owns the land and who owns the house above. Can you explain that in a leasing perspective? Do you lease the land but build the house on top? Who owns the house? Are you leasing the land?
Yeah, that's a good point, Tim, and something that's not quite fully understood even as the market in Phuket has developed. A foreigner can own a structure on top of the land if it's done legally, properly, at the beginning. Otherwise, if I can take a step back, the landowner is presumed to be, under Thai law, to be the owner of any structure on that building. However, if there's a right of ownership registered over that land for another party, that party can then own the structure on the land.
So it's very important you understand who the other party is that you're entering into these contracts with.
Yeah, well, I guess it's very important that you know they own the land and that they're willing to grant you the right that I'm talking about. Also, it's very important that you receive competent advice as to regards to how you should own that structure on the land, because, for instance, there is a common misconception in Phuket and other places in Thailand that a building permit will give you ownership. Simply put, a building permit is a building permit like anywhere we've come from. It's the right to build something. It's been issued to somebody when they've submitted plans that show that they're going to comply with the relevant building laws. It is not the very clear law in Thailand under the Civil and Commercial Code that explains who actually owns the immovable property, the land or the house.
Something that's always interested me, if you own that lease or if you have that lease, are you able to transfer to an heir or actually sell that lease to another party?
As long as the contract, the lease contract between the parties provides for that, yes, you may transfer the lease. The question as to whether an heir can inherit it, and even if the contract provides that, it isn't really a settled question. And Thai law isn't clear on that yet either. But we would always advise a party especially a lessee party, to include that in their contract.
Well, clearly getting good advice is so important. Gerald Kippen, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
If you'd like to know more, contact Gerald Kippen directly at dktaxandlaw.com or visit thephuket.news.com. You've been watching Legal Matters here on Phuket News TV. I'm Tim Shaw. See you next time.